Hello there, everybody. I hope you all had a wonderful work week. Well, something prompted me this week to talk about prompts. I wanted to be prompt in talking about my prompts or your prompts. So it's a word that has gotten a little bit of a buzz around it these days. And if we go back to the year 2000 or so, just as Web 1.0, we didn't call it Web 1.0 then, it was just the web. We didn't know there were going to be different versions of it. Anyway, the word that was online was around net. Yes, everything was centered on net. Believe it, everything was on the net. You logged onto the net, you used Netscape, there were net phones, Microsoft created a software product called .net, there was a tech publication called ZDNet, another one called CNET, digital music was called Net Music, and Sandra Bullock starred in a movie, the wonderful Sandra Bullock, of course. The net. That's right, net was everywhere. Well, here it is 2024, and the word is prompts. Well, that's what's new, prompts for generative AI. You have to get better at promptly. You have to get promptly better at prompting because you need prompt engineering and you need to be the best prompter of all of prompting to get good at generating content out of AI. But you know what? You don't. Prompts are to today's generative AI what HTML was to building early websites. Yeah, that's right. You want to know more? Don't want to make of all that? What are you going to do? Do you even know what HTML is? This is 7-8 minutes of what's new in marketing that you need to lead. Let's go ahead and roll. Hello everybody, Robert Rose here with What's New in Marketing. That's right, it is about what's new, but most importantly, we think it's something important that we think you may want to pay attention to in our world of marketing. And if we can help you or your team get into custom training or marketing education, well, get on over to contentmarketinginstitute.com. So it seems that AI-generated content, well, it's starting to get some real traction these days in the creation of marketing content. I am seeing more and more images, text, and general content that is clearly generated by artificial intelligence. Images are the easiest ones for me to spot. With each of the various tools, they've all got a look about them. You see them a lot now accompanying blog posts on LinkedIn or Facebook, sort of like you used to see stock imagery. And I'm actually taking to really digging into these images. I find them fascinating. As I said, they're easy to see. And if you do a little, where's Waldo looking around, well, you can find some really genuinely interesting but odd things. I find it really fun to go into these images and find the background stories for all these weird, odd things that basically you just don't see at the first glance. For example, here's one of an image that I found online, and it was about teams working together on a document. I've got so many fun questions here. First of all, why do all the men have beards? Is that a picture of a raccoon on the wall? What does that poster next to the raccoon say? And is that a really small person with no legs sitting on top of that table in the back? What is wrong with the woman in the front right? What is going on with her face? And does the young woman on the left have a computer mouse surgically attached to her forefinger? Anyway, I digress. But what about text? Well, I'm seeing some very interesting trends in original content in text being authored by AI as well. It's just replete with adjectives and flowery language. For example, I asked ChatGPT to write a short blog post about content marketing, but to open it up with a story to establish some context. It then dutifully wrote, "Once upon a time, in the bustling boardrooms of a Fortune 1000 company, there was a vice president of marketing named Alex, who faced a daunting challenge. Sales were stagnating and traditional marketing methods were losing their luster." Ah, yes, ChatGPT does indeed love a good alliteration. And in this case, 3 of them in 2 sentences. That's kind of impressive if you ask me. In any event, what many would suggest that I and the image creator that we just looked at are getting wrong is that we're not using the best prompts. Prompts have become the hot topic among marketers, with many thought leaders out there either selling or giving away the best prompts in the form of, a classic kind of Mad Libs, right? Where the prompt might be, insert topic here and insert your persona here. Other prompters are suggesting that you have to tell AI exactly who they should be. Pretend you're a librarian or pretend you're a world-class aviator coming out of the Top Gun school in San Diego. Quick side note, I actually tried that one last night and asked for some advice about what they would offer as their number one piece of advice about going to the Top Gun school. The answer? embrace the challenge. I mean, that's good stuff, right? I mean, no threat to Tom Cruise here or anything, but that's good stuff. Anyway, at CMI and TCA, we have, of course, been diving deep into the worlds of generative AI, testing the tools, getting into the strengths, the weaknesses of the various learning models. And the one conclusion that I'm absolutely sure about all of them is that creating the best value out of generative AI has no relevance to becoming an expert at prompting. Now, that's not to say that learning how to ask better questions of the technology or of ourselves isn't a valuable skill, because that's a valuable skill with people as well as technology. So yes, learning how to ask better questions is good, but aside from some very specific looks to images or some specific words that can help AI understand our current jargon, our experience is that prompting is something that has very quick diminishing returns, even beyond some of the most basic levels. And even if it doesn't, I mean, do we really believe that this technology isn't going to advance quickly enough to make it easy for us to assemble complex prompts that as templates? You know, if they actually do generate more complex outputs? If generative AI is to be at all useful, it must do that, right? I mean, if it's only relegated to those who can actually code good prompts, well, then it's not nearly disruptive the technology as we think it might be. Anyway, there's also an emerging Dunning-Kruger effect here that I find fascinating with this as well. So remember, the Dunning-Kruger effect is our human sort of cognitive bias where we overestimate our ability or knowledge. In other words, knowing how good you are at something requires the same skill as being good at that thing in the first place. So when it comes to AI-generated content, it will in most cases look higher quality to people who don't understand what good looks like. So thus, even if you're great at prompting, if you can't recognize or understand the quality of the content you're getting, it's likely to be a lot more impressive to you. I'll give you an example of this. A company that we just recently worked with had a customer content enablement team, and they let them all go in lieu of a freelancer using generative AI. And it created scores of all sorts of new customer enablement content that the freelancer published out to the public website. There was only one problem. It was giving entirely wrong information about products, technology, and the way things worked. The freelancer was unable to discern that the content, while very impressively written, was just plain wrong. So as you start thinking about ways to integrate generative AI into your own content strategy, what I'd like you to remember, and in fact I'd like to prompt you to remember, is not think about working so hard to get you and your team to become experts at prompting, but to drive hard to become experts in your subject matter area. Create awesome human content that can be assisted by AI to do a great many things, create a great many set of efficiencies. And it's simple with easy to remember prompting. And of course, if we can help you or your team get content and AI ready, let us know. We've got training, we've got classes, we've got services, all to help you get productive integration. All you got to do is, well, prompt us. And that's it. Few minutes of what's new in marketing that hopefully can help you lead in marketing. And remember, until I see you, I'll just prompt you with this. It's your story to tell. Tell it well. I'll see you next week.